So this video is going to be a little bit different. I decided to share some feel-good content. Actually, a very knowledgeable video, I might add, about learning skills. Y'all know about learning skills, right? So this elderly sister or senior citizen does I don't know how to describe her content, but it's like lifestyle content where she talks about like motivating things, learning skills, and how to control behavior and all that good stuff. But anyway, this particular video I came across on her page went hella viral. And it was very important. I thought I should share it with you guys because not a lot of us know how to really control our emotions, especially me. Because, my black ass, I act up real fast, depending on what's going on. But anywho, she basically goes over, how to really set the tone for yourself and how to behave. Take a look.
The most powerful skill you can develop is to learn how to stay in a good mood. You cannot spend your days reacting to what other people are doing and saying. Repeat after me. I am the thermostat and not the thermometer. Let's say that again. I am the thermostat and not the thermometer. The thermostat sets the tone for the room. It sets the temperature. The thermometer goes up and down depending on what's happening in the room. You are the thermostat. Now, if you have some challenges with this, I want you to go to my page, check out the resources, because there's a guide there for you that will help you understand just what this means, because your reactions show something about your underlying beliefs. All behavior is based on an underlying belief, full stop. So if you're reacting in situations, you have to stop and ask yourself, what am I believing about this? What are my core beliefs that are causing me to behave in a way that I really don't want to behave? An unexamined life is a life that is out of control. And we must take a moment and pause and say, why am I reacting this way? And when you get to that underlying belief, you can change the behavior. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer.
First of all, let's give a round of applause for this elderly sister because let me tell you something. She opened my mind to a lot of things I would have never thought about with all these different analogies and comparisons she did between the thermostat and a thermometer. And at the very beginning, she said, repeat after me, I am the thermostat, not the thermometer. And that's a very good analogy because you have the power to control the temperature in your household. You could turn it up high, you could turn it down low, hot or cold. Meanwhile, the thermometer just shoots straight up, when you get hot. So I took a lot of good notes from this video. The best skill that you can develop is literally learning how to stay in a good mood, like she said. When you think about it, you dive deeper into the rabbit hole of what she was saying. It really opens your mindset, when you surround yourself around others. For example, in workspaces or in public spaces, you have to remain in a good mood. I had to learn this a while back the hard way. I always took for granted, listening to others' complaints on jobs and listening to wallow and swallow and just whine about everyday life activities. I heard it in my last job. I'm not gonna lie, some of my coworkers, for all they did was complain about the littlest shit I would have never imagined. People complain about staying late. That's normal. Sometimes you gotta stay late to get the job done. Or sometimes, employers want to be petty and make you do unnecessary overtime for no reason at all. I don't know. And then a lot of people are just truly unhappy and miserable. You have to learn sometimes when people are very salty, you have to leave them behind. You know, I'm not a salty person. I'm petty, but not salty. I will admit that I am petty. But sometimes you have to tune out people in general to keep yourself happy and in a good mood and really block out the noise. Because if you're not careful and you continue to entertain people who are just miserable everyday people who are never satisfied, never in a good mood, nothing, just always coming to work huffing and puffing and talking about people all the time, you're going to turn up in it like one of them. You're literally gonna crawl into a dark web of drama and nonsense. And then you're going to be turning into a miserable negative Nancy if you're not careful, if you don't watch it. You know, as far as like being in different spaces, whether if it's like the workplace or the schooling or wherever I am, I always leave on a positive note, no matter the situation, even if it's a crappy situation. You know, for example, when I Uber out here and I deal with all types of people, all types of nationalities, all types of weirdos and, you know, ruggies and all types of other people, I had to sit back and really look around my surroundings and realize that you cannot control other people's emotions. You cannot control what the next person is thinking. You just have to take it with a grain of salt. Don't feel offended if they say something to you and just move on. And normally what I do, if I feel somewhat uncomfortable with that person in my car, or if they talking crazy, just reckless for no reason at all, and they're not even drunk and they're just a little loop-de-loo up here, I block their ass. Yeah, I block them on that. Proud of it too, because you'll never see me again. But sometimes you don't have the power to block out the noise. And like I said, clear example when you're in workspaces and social settings, you know, wherever you are, sometimes you have to really swallow your pride, keep your mouth shut, and keep your opinions to yourself. Unless someone asks you for your opinion, I think it's very wise that you keep your opinions to yourself and you don't, you know, ruin the next person's day. How about them apples? You know, I've also came to the conclusion that we are living in a world of deception. You know, what am I talking about? Well, let me tell you. A lot of people will deceive you by being fake happy. You know, fake happy is when people fake the funk to keep their day going and knowing that they have problems, just like the average person, you know, they fake happy, like they're always happy all the time. And the misery and the drama is slowly eating at them. You could tell when somebody is really unhappy and uncomfortable when you clearly see that they're trying to force a smile. When you see someone trying to force a smile at the next person and they don't want to smile, they don't want to participate in shit, leave them alone. Maybe they're going through something that you're not aware of, and that's fine. People go through their own problems every single day, but I'm not the mediator. I'm not the person that's going to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about it. I'm going to mind my black-owned business and collect my check and go as I please. Because I don't want to be caught up in whatever they got going on. Because I'm like this, as long as it ain't got nothing to do with me and my check, I care less, you know? But, yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to really be strong and you have to really protect your mindset and really protect, you know, what's going on in here. Because if you're not careful, you know, you stress yourself out real bad. You could put yourself in the hospital very easily. I've done it before. When I took on other people's problems and I let work stressed me out really bad because I was always unhappy and, sulking and being miserable because of bullshit. It put me in the hospital a couple of times in my life. Yeah, believe it or not, I was put in the hospital a couple of times over stress, thinking I was having a massive heart attack, and the doctor was like, nah, it's stress. Your heart is fine. It's just you're stressed out. So once I realized that, I started doing other activities to help me out to cope with stress. I did like meditation classes, yoga, everyday activities, normal activities, walking around the park, just to decompress what was bothering me. So that way, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder and I didn't take it with me to the next place I was going to make the next person miserable. You have to think, at the end of the day, we only have one life to live. And you have to make the best situation out of that life. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how challenging it may be for you and, your family members, if you have family, you have to be the bigger person and, pick yourself up and be your own winner, because nobody else is going to do it for you. I hate to say it. In order for you to become, like that lady said in that video, the thermostat, you have to learn to control your emotions, period, point blank. If you cannot control your emotions, if you struggle with it, if you have anger issues, because I've seen people with anger management issues, take some classes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a perfect person. I've taken anger management in the past because someone forced it to me because I was always angry and I was in the military. I mean, who wouldn't be angry? It's the military. What you expect? I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was very young and dumb and in my 20s and running, wild on the streets, with different, people in the military, partying everywhere in different bars and clubs and stuff like that, popping bottles, etc., etc. You know the rest. And just did not give a damn about life at all. But now, as I've gotten older, as I've gotten wiser, I learned how to remain calm at all times. No matter how stressful it can be, no matter how much it might piss me off, I don't show emotion. You know what I do? Oh, okay. And then I walk away. Because at the end of the day, I don't take work home. I don't take offense to what other people say. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, even the trolls here on YouTube. Because at the end of the day, you don't pay my bills. I don't know you from Adam. And you don't live with me. So why should I stay angry? This is the internet. This is fairy tale land. You have the option to be whatever the hell you want to be. You could be a turtle, for crying out loud. You could be an animal, a tiger, a bear, whatever you want to be on the internet, and go with it. Whatever makes you happy, go for it. I'm all for it. Because, again, no one is in control of you or your life except for you. Now, the only person that might be in control of you if you're in any type of trouble is Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam might crack the whip on your ass if you owe somebody something. For example, if you owe taxes, Uncle Sam is going to come after you. If you owe some charges and you did something wrong, Uncle Sam's going to come after you and punish you and put your ass on probation or whatever. But anywho, the point is, folks, be the thermostat. Control yourself. Don't be the thermometer and blow up on somebody. Because nobody likes an ugly person. And when I say ugly, I don't mean ugly in general. I'm talking about just ugly behavior. Nobody likes a messy person. Nobody wants to be around a negative, Nancy, miserable person 24/7. Nobody wants that. And I don't encourage it because it wears down on you. It affects you. It catches up to you, Um, I feel like people don't get ahead in life when they stay stuck being miserable and unhappy 24/7. I could be all of those things right now if I wanted to. I could say, F the world and F everybody because nobody loves me and nobody gives a damn. And, why me, God? Because I'm still, you know, jobless, if you think about it. I mean, even though I do Uber and Lyft, if you want to count that as side jobs, side hustles, I'm hustling out here, nickel and diming to survive until I find my next, 9 to 5 gig. But I could be all of those things. I could be wallowing right now. I could be negative. I could be stressed out, even though I'm barely making it by a thread. But you know what? I chose the high road. I chose to swallow my pride, suck it up, and move on. What's the point of being angry 24/7 about a situation that you have no control of? You have control of your own destiny, yes, I believe in that mantra, but sometimes God is in control, and God puts you in a situation for a very good reason. I feel that, it's gonna get better. It may not be right away, but I'm hoping and praying, I get my next dream job, career, whatever you want to call it, in the next couple of weeks or so. After doing all these interviews, I feel hella defeated. I'm not going to lie to you. I do. And that's why I feel like everyone should be entitled to a free mental health day. There's nothing wrong with sitting down and talking to someone about your problems to keep your health intact, especially your mental health. That's the biggest one that people don't understand. Your mental health is golden, and the minute you lose it, oh, it gets ugly. You don't want to lose that part. And the physical health is just as important, but I think mental health is a little bit more important, because the minute you lose your sanity and you end up in a straitjacket behind 4 padded walls, there's no hope for you. I'm just saying, like, at that point, what do you do? I would hate for someone to end up like that, going through electroshock therapy or something like that, just to keep their mind sane. It's scary. Scary world out there. Very scary world. But I thank God I ain't never been committed to no insane asylum or nothing. I could have easily, but I choose to do holistic measures, to decompress. I find like one of those herbal shops where they have like all these different herbal routines and herbal medicines to help you, with your chakras and align your body and all the good stuff, and your overall mental wealth and your helmet and your mental health is what I meant to say, not mental wealth. I don't know why I said mental wealth, but your overall mind, body, and soul, stuff like that. People don't think about stuff like that. I think stuff like that is very important, because the minute you have control of your mind, your body, and your soul, you're good to go. It might be challenging, yeah, but you find the right people, get in the right mindset, whether that's group therapy or one-on-one therapy with a professional or whatever you're looking for, and then, like I said, sometimes if you don't want to do that, there are other routes you can go. They have all types of different, holistic practices. Acupuncture is one. I don't know, just different types of exercises. Like I mentioned, yoga, meditation, And this is why I encourage people to read, because knowledge is free. It's priceless. You can do a lot of reading on this type of stuff online. And if you don't have access to the internet, that's fine too. Go to your local library, pick up a book. It's that easy. Now, the books at the library may not necessarily be free. You might have to pay to rent a book or so. But if you don't want to pay, just read it while you're there. That's all you got to do. Like I said, the knowledge is free. They have audiobooks for crying out loud now. If you don't want to read, they can do the reading for you, and you can just sit there and listen and chill and kick back. Get you a cup of coffee and pop on an audiobook on Amazon or something. And you can do it that way too. But anywho, like I said, I just wanted to share a feel-good video because I felt like we should take some time to take a mental health break from all the chaos going on in this world. And I felt like this was very important, a very valuable lesson that you could learn and share with others because someone might need this message. You never know who's hurting. You never know who might need a friend or a shoulder to cry on. You know, everybody's going through it. We're not perfect. We're just existing, is what I call it. But y'all let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments below.